What's going on, everyone? This is Vangelis 2019, and today I'm going to be building the Star Wars Mandalorian Razor Crest model from Bandai. A high quality model. They, apologies for the ring light actually, very shiny box. They make very high quality models. All the parts are really, have a very fine tolerance, so they go together really well. Just give you a shot from all sides of the box. Alright. Let's open it up and have a little looky. Alright, so the instructions, the build instructions are actually inside the lid of the box. So, yeah, it's very important you don't throw the lid away. Pop that there. Alright, now then look at the sprue tree. Alright, so that's Sprue A1. I'm assuming we're going to have to build this in order, so obviously we start with A1. Get a bit of reflection there, we'll open it up in a second. And what's this going to be, A2, yeah? Yep, A2. Cool. So that'll be the latter parts of the build. Okay, the third pack in here, that's obviously the stand. Okay, these are not decals, these are actually stickers. I've made some of these Bandai kits before, and they're a bit thicker than normal decals. I'll show you my Millennium Falcon model. This is also a Bandai kit, and this came with stickers, and I realized that the detail was just too fine to put stickers on. The stickers basically just sat on top of all the fine lumps and bumps. So basically I just took a very small brush and painted those small details by hand, and yeah, I'm pretty much going to do the same with this one. Sort of your regular cautionary tales, you know, don't stick it in somebody's eye, don't swallow small parts, all that kind of advice that we need these days. Alright, so the first thing I do is look at some reference images. So if there's any parts that need to be painted a special colour, like the engines here, tips of the guns here. Again, apologies for the ring light. Everything I own is shiny. Alrighty. Yeah, I forgot to mention, yeah, always obey the instructions in order. So if there's any cautionary notes on the inside of the box, yeah, just give them a little once over. Make sure it's quite handy that it's in English as well as Japanese. It's always a godsend. Right, so I'm just gonna get a rough idea of the sequence of constructions: the main body, then the upper body, then the engines. Pretty much how it goes. Alright, let's open it up. I'm just gonna open both of them up and get a good look-see. Always put the cap back on your scalpel blade. Safety first. I'm going to say 2. And A1. So, knowing I'd have to put a bit of colour on this, I had to rummage through my collection of paints. So I've got some glossy black to do the windows. And I sort of started collecting kind of other colours I'd need, like that bronzy colour for the engines. Yeah, just the kind of colour matching I need to do there. And I get some of my browns and reds and bronzes and yellows, all that kind of stuff. I've also got a bit of titanium silver, just in case where I snip them off the tree I need to do a bit of patching, so I've got my titanium silver just in case. Obviously, to do a little bit of weathering I need some flat black, just so I can mix that up and do a bit of weathering. And of course, to actually thin down my paints and to wash my brushes, I've got some thinners obviously. Masking tape ready for when I do the stripes. You just cut them up with a very fine blade. And then finally, to do little bits of application, maybe pulling paint off, I've got these kind of like Japanese modeling cotton bud things. They're kind of small and pointy. And then even though this is a push together kit, I've got some glue just in case. Alrighty, so I've mixed up my bronze with a little bit of black. As you can see, I would have filmed painting this on, but the tips of the guns there, you see you've got the bronze, and I just need to do the engines next. It's actually difficult to film the actual painting because they're such small parts. I've got to offer it right up to my face, so it's difficult to get it into the camera. So as you can see, I've just given them one kind of generous coat of the bronze on the end of the engines there, as we saw in the reference image. So, oh yes, one minor point on the stickers here. You could see just how fine that detail is, all the little nooks and crannies, and yeah, these stickers just aren't going to stick to it. So I definitely need to use the masking tape in very thin strips to mask the body of the ship, and also these window stickers. Part of the you can see there, try and get it into focus. You can see the front of the cockpit there. A couple of those windows are very, very curved, and essentially what's going to happen is if I try to put a sticker in there, the sticker's just going to wrinkle. So I think that's finally made up my mind. I definitely need to paint those by hand. Alright, so I've just about finished painting the windows. Just use regular high gloss black and a very thin brush. You have to painstakingly get it all in there. You can scrape off, if you've overpainted, you can kind of very carefully scrape off the excess with the point of a knife. Alright, so time to put the weathering on. Very shiny ship, it's more like Queen Amidala's ship. So you see all those fine details. What we want to do is just get a thin film of paint in those little nooks and crannies. So essentially I use a large flat brush with some thinner, and yeah, you just brush it over the whole surface, and the crannies kind of get protected by the layer of thinners, but the nooks take up your pigment. So basically you mix up your pigment with some thinners till it's like the consistency of low-fat milk. Then you're using your very fine brush. It's all got a film on it, and then you basically dab it on. Capillary action pulls it into all the nooks and crannies. So you've just got to dab, and yeah, just let capillary action pull the pigment into all the little nooks and crannies. Alrighty, so let's mix up my pigment. Alright, so you can see I got my pigment there. I don't actually use just straight black. It looks a bit artificial, so I always mix in a bit of, like, you know, red or brown or like a sandy color, just to make it look a little bit more dirty rather than just straight black. Black just tends to look like, you know, things that are burnt or carbonized, whereas a little bit of brown or sand makes it look like dirt. Alrighty. Get my thinners and my flat brush. Be careful you don't mix your brushes up, that happens quite often. Alright, a little bit of thinner. Alright, just make a start. Brush it on, cover the whole surface. You know, it doesn't need to be dripping, it just needs to be a film. The tip of your brush. Apologies for the angle here. I try to get it into the camera frame a bit more, but it's very difficult to actually see what you're doing when you're offering up to the camera rather than your face. This is my other tip. If you start to overpaint, just dry your brush off and use capillary action to pull the paint back off. So if you get it a bit too wet and there's just, you know, too much line on surfaces or too much, especially when it's still attached to the tree. sort of your pigment tends to pool where the pigment is attached to the tree. So, yep, just dry your brush off. Just pull it off while it's still wet. Get to those corners. Yeah, I've got this a bit too. In fact, yeah, you just take your cloth and just dab it off if you need to. If you put way too much on. It'll still be in all the nooks and crannies, but yeah, you just don't want it to be absolutely flooded. Alrighty, next bit. Again, just a light brush in. It doesn't need to be dripping wet, it just needs to have a film on it. Yep, don't mix your brushes. Again, apologies for the angle. I swear I'll give you a good shot in a second. Just the lightest of touches, and yeah, you just that capillary action, pull the paint into all the little nooks and crannies. Again, just use the whole cloth if it's a little bit too much. Just dry your brush, pull off any excess. You can actually sort of sweep whole surfaces. Not just in the kind of hollowed out bits. You can actually kind of sweep whole, like this middle section here. I want to clean that up, so I can just literally just mop up the whole surface there, just clean it up a little bit. It's just a bit too streaky. Alrighty, it's difficult to see. I'll give you a better shot. Alright, so the main body. So you can see that the one on the left there has had the color wash, and the one on the right is still squeaky clean. You can see a hell of a lot of detail you can pick up there. Really makes all those panels pop. And it looks more like a bounty hunter ship than Queen Amidala's ship. And the same here. So the engine parts on the left have had the wash, and then the ones on the right have nothing but that little bronze bit there. But you can see all the nooks and crannies, they're all popping because they've got the dark bits kind of down in the crevices, and the ones on the right are still shiny, brand new. Alrighty, so I've pretty much gone across the whole thing. You can, in places, you can actually apply sort of extra pigment just to sort of darken them up, just to give it a bit more interest. Like for instance, the doors here, I just went over them a second time just to darken them up, just to make it clear that that's a door. Alrighty, so I realized that these stickers for the stripes, they're kind of broken up. There's more than just the main side parts. So they actually go up and over the top of the main upper hull of the ship. And I realized that to get the stripes to be in any kind of sensible continuation line, I'm going to need to partially assemble this. So if I can show you the sticker guide on the back there, you can see it goes up the side and then over the upper hull. So yeah, I'm never going to be able to airbrush that accurately while it's still on a tree. So yes, we need to start assembling and then do the stripes. So time to snip them off. These snips, they're not just any old snips, they're from the model store. They're specially designed to remove models from the sprue tree. Got a very fine tip on them, so you can kind of snip them off pretty close to the model without damaging the model at all. and they leave hardly anything for you to kind of clean up. So, good thing about these Bandai models as well is they tend to be made so that they're attached to the tree in places that are inside the model, so there's very little to clean up very often. Okay, I'm just going to use a Swiss needle file, so just in the places where I think it might interfere with the construction, or it's actually kind of a part that's on show, I'm just going to give them a very light sanding down. Yeah, that's not come up too badly. I don't think I'm going to have to use my titanium paint. Yeah, it just looks like little doodads. A ship like this. That's a good thing about Star Wars ships, is that any little dings and mistakes are kind of forgiving because it's Star Wars ship. Every ship in Star Wars is a bit beaten up. Okay, one on the top there. Like I said, just in case it kind of gets in the way of it closing fully, just scrape that away. Alright, to the other side. Alright, time to assemble the first piece. The good thing about these Bandai kits is that they're kind of keyed, which means the kind of the holes and the slots and everything used to push it together, it's they're not the same either side, so it's very hard to put these together wrong. You can't put the wrong engine on the wrong side because it's actually a different shaped slot left and right. So yeah, they're kind of idiot proof, which is probably just as well. Why making it? Right. Time to do the rest of the lower hull. Get off the tree. Snippity snip. Right, just got the cockpit to go. Let's get these bits on first. Just make sure we've got a nice smooth fit. Alright, so that's the back end of it. There's such a tight tolerance on these. You see the little pegs there? There's such a tight tolerance on the way these parts fit that, yeah, I pretty much don't need to use any glue. They just squeeze right in there. Alright, time to do the upper hull. Get them off the tree, snippety snip. Again, apologies for the camera angle, I've got to look what I'm doing. Go on, get in there. There you go. Alrighty, and we'll clean that up as well. Right, I realised that the inside of part of the upper hull actually shows through a hole, so I had to sort of go back and do a little colour wash in there as well. See that little dark patch? Just gone back and give that a little paint pass. Off you pop. There you go. Right, get my file. Again, you see that's inside. Be inside the engines, those parts there. Right, so let's make sure we've got the. Oh yes, there's a little part in between the upper and lower parts of the upper hull. There's a tiny little sliver that goes in there. This is why I always pay attention to the instructions, because Be just like me just to snap them together and then realise I'd left a part out. My goodness. Look how teeny tiny that is. Right, that goes in the back end, doesn't it? Yep. Again, this is what I mean about not being able, like I can't even put this bit in upside down. You see it's got a little L-shaped key there. Means you're guaranteed to get it the right way around. You can't put it in upside down. Alrighty. That's gonna fit together. Snap. There you go. Nice positive snap when you put that together. That's nice. You see that little relief showing through there, so that's why I needed to give that a little paint pass. I discovered that little bit in the middle there, that's actually a life pod. I didn't know that till I got my reference images, so that's nice. I've given that a little bit of extra detail to make that stand out. Alright, time to connect the upper and lower hulls. Again, just got to line up all the holes. They're all slightly different sizes. Again, you can't get it the wrong way around. Don't want to put too much pressure on it, so I'm just going to ease it in there. Oh, that's nice. Alrighty. So now that we've got all that together, actually I think I might pop the front of the cockpit on. But yeah, I think we're just about ready. Come on, get into focus, babe. I'm just about ready to start masking this off so I can get the stripes right the way through the lower and upper hull. So yeah, just put the cockpit on first, I think. Just because we're nearly done with A1 tree. Just the cockpit to go. Snippety snip. Right, I don't want to get too close to this. It's very, 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 very close joint to the actual cockpit. Ready. You have to file that down very carefully. Right. It just popped right in the end there. Click. Nice. Actually starting to look like a ship now. Actually starting to look a lot like a grasshopper as well. Alrighty, so time to start cutting up some masking tape into thin strips. Alright, so basically I'm just going to get a little strip, line it up with my mat here, make sure it's nice and straight. Just lightly press it down, you don't need to be too heavy-handed. Steel rule. And I'm not going to be too fussy. There's these, on a model this size, the stripes aren't even that long, so I'm just going to eyeball it. Just start cutting sort of millimeter thick strips. There you go. Start masking off some stripes with this. Alright, so as you can see, I sort of carefully masked off the stripes and then sort of not so carefully, just got great big wadges of masking tape and just masked off the rest of the model just with big chunks. Don't have to be too precious about it. Okay, so this is my masking fluid. So this is basically what I'm going to use. I'm going to apply it with those little cotton buds there. And essentially I'm going to use that. So of course what I've masked it off, that's for nice clean lines, but of course this ship doesn't have nice clean lines. It has all scrapes and dings. So more on one side than the other. So essentially my plan is to use the masking fluid and those little cotton buds to put little scrapes and dings in it. So I'm just going to put a big blob into my palette here. I've already brushed on big bits where, you know, I hadn't actually got around to masking it off with tape. And then for the rest of this detail, I really am just going to blob and scrape and pull this masking fluid around and just make little imperfections using the actual stickers as a guide. So I'm basically attempting to follow the sticker guide. I'm not going for 100% canon. I'm not going to be that precious. I'm just going to roughly follow the guide. Just get the masking fluid on there. This stuff dries really quickly as well. You can pretty much paint within like 10 minutes of applying this stuff. It dries super quick. Okay, now's the time to do the stripy bits. So I noticed these ones look a little bit brown. My reference images show them a bit more yellow. So yeah, I'm going to take my little collection of colors here and mix up something that looks like the stickers, but it's heavy on the yellow, just like that. So yeah, that's more like the yellow in the reference image. So it's kind of close to that, but a little bit yellower. So yeah, that'll do. Right, time to get the airbrush. Here it is. Alrighty, just start the air going. Wait till the paint comes through. There you go, it's the yellow coming through. Alright, so dust it on. Light strokes. This will dry pretty quickly if you do it in kind of very fine strokes. You don't want it to build up too heavily because it'll just start to bead off. And yeah, just dust it on. And by the time you get to the end of the little section, you can go back and start again because the first pass will have dried. So yeah, just build it up. No need to go in heavy. Of course, the worst thing about airbrushing is having to clean the airbrush out afterwards. And make sure the reservoir, the needle, everything is all clear. Ready for the next layer of paint. Alrighty, time for the reveal. So I'm going to try and take as much of this off with my fingers as I can. The last thing you want to do is start getting in there with knives or scissors or whatever and you risk damaging the model, so I'm just going to try and peel as much of this off as I can. Most of it is in large pieces like that, so yep, hopefully it'll come away like that. Have a little bit of patience. The last little fiddly bits where I actually use the very thin pieces to delineate the actual stripes. All the little kind of rubbery masking fluid is coming away with it as well, which is good. Alrighty, one last little stripe. Off it comes. There you go. A quick rub, make sure there's no little rubber bits left. Well, that's not bad even if I say so myself. Yeah, it came out alright. Happy with that. Alright, well, now that we've done the fiddly masking job, time to finish up, get the engines on. Alrighty, so pretty much the same technique as before. Use my little snips. Very carefully take them off the tree, and then any little rough bits then just give them a very gentle sanding down with your Swiss needle file. Make sure there aren't any sticky up bits. Alrighty, assembly time. Again, this is a great kit for making sure that everything is impossible to get it the wrong way round, because everything is jigsawed together. The keys in. And that's got a little key locator on it as well. Okay. Engine number 1 done. And as if by magic, bingo bango, engine number 2. Now, looking at it, I realise it's still looking a little bit clean in the engine intakes and in the exhaust. They need to be a bit darker. Again, going by my reference images. So again, I'm going to get my trusty airbrush out. I've made some black. This really is black now, rather than black with some brown in it, because this is going to be for carbonization. It's meant to look like burnt oil or, you know, sort of jet exhaust carbonization. So yes, this is just flat black with some thinners to water it down. Get in there, get it started. Another reason to clean out your airbrush, it's ready to go then next time. Cool. Alrighty, let's darken these up. Right in there, in at an angle. Really don't want to get it outside of the intakes and the exhaust, I just want to get it right in there, so I'm going to go in at an angle. Same with the back. It did look a little bit scorched and burnt. Alright, there's a side-by-side for comparison, so the one on the left has been airbrushed. Looking a little dirtier now. Again with the rear, so you see at the very tips of the fins on the exhaust it looks a little bit burnt compared to the one on the right. Same inside is looking a little bit blacker. Yeah, looks like it's seen some action now. Alright, and put the engines on. Again, keyed so that you get them the right way around. Yeah, nope, wrong way. Yeah. Just because you can't get them the wrong way around doesn't mean I won't try. Alrighty, it's coming together now. So, just the final bit now, putting together the guns. Alright, let's get them snipped off. Okay, 2 guns later. Okay, so that one snaps in there. That one, I need to be careful because they're quite thin. I don't want to push in the wrong place and actually snap the thin part, so I get these. Yeah, like that. Cosmic. Alrighty. Alright, just the stand now, and finito.